Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer With Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Name the dog, Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer With Geeks.
It comes in pints?
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer With Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my doesn't take himself too seriously, but everyone finds him hysterical in a bat suit friend, Frank. How are you today?
Hello, old chum. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well.
Excellent. You're drinking some beer.
Oh, man, am I drinking some beer? I'm drinking my new favorite beer, a new discovery for me. It's the Switchback Ale.
I thought you said a nudist
A
overing.
nudist covering.
There you go.
It covers
Ooh.
nudists.
I mean, if there were enough of them.
Yeah. Been a while since we did that. Yeah, Switchback Ale. It's an unfiltered ale, naturally conditioned in the bottle. In fact, on the back of the label here, it says, we encourage you to mix the yeast back into the beer to experience it as originally bottled.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's conditioned in the bottle. Kind of like homebrew. Kind of like when you brew it at home, what you're supposed to do is mix it up. So yeah, it's very, very good. It's a very simple beer. You tried it.
I tried it. It is very simple. It's very, very dry. It's a dry beer.
Yeah. But I really
it's not
like
one for
it.
quenching your thirst.
No, it's not. No, it will make you thirsty. But it's not super hoppy. It's pretty balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine Switchback is out of Vermont, and a friend of mine who's from Burlington, Vermont, is always saying, "Oh, you got to try it." And I ventured. I live in Massachusetts. I happen to be up in Maine last couple weekends, and they carry it there, and I tried it and loved it, and brought a six back home. So it's been great. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking. Insert word here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it myself either. Weihenstephaner.
Weihenstephaner.
Yeah.
Vitus. Yeah, that's as close as either of us can get without any German background whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's very good. It's citrusy, I would say. Hold on, let me take another taste.
It's a Weizenbock.
A Weizenbock. Yeah, it's citrusy. It does it. It kind of reminds me of oh shoot! Now I can't remember the name. It's a Belgian now, but I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. It's got a white label, gold writing.
Stella?
No, Stella. No. It doesn't remind me of Stella at all.
No, okay. I was gonna say
it's gonna bother me. I'll figure it out later. I don't want to use my one lookup.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to use
the beer.
I want to use my one lookup. That'd be a first time.
That would be a first. We're gonna make it past the beer before we use the lookup.
It's not lining.
Man.
Cool. Shoot. It's gonna bother me.
I don't know.
It's gonna bother me. Anyway, but it's okay. Somebody probably knows what I'm talking about out there, and they're going, "You dummy, yo, it's this kind of beer."
It's a Bock.
It's a Bock.
So it's like a Shiner.
Composer.
Or,
sure.
Yes, also that.
Yeah.
But it's like a wheat.
Yeah, it's a wheat Bock.
Weizenbock means like a wheat Bock. So
I had a wheat Bock. How about a wheat Bock?
Get Bock to the future. Get Bock to where
no bell for any of those.
We do so many puns. We really should be using the bell more.
You know who also did a lot of puns? Our dearly departed Adam West. Adam West.
So sad. So sad. We did lose Adam West this past week.
When he died, I posted the article and I said wholly unexpected death because I wasn't expecting it. My dad commented under it and said, "Well, he was 88, so I wouldn't say entirely unexpected." Apparently, he was battling leukemia and a very short battle.
That's what all the coverage everywhere said, a short battle with leukemia. So it must have been
like weeks short because I think Julie Newmar, who played Catwoman in the original show, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
She saw him. She said she saw him a month ago and he was fine.
Oh wow!
So
it must have been he must have just been diagnosed, and family must have kept it quiet.
Yeah.
I know his kids put out like a statement, or at least his son, and said that he'll always be their superhero, something very touching like that.
Yeah.
But
the Bright Knight.
The Bright Knight, that's right. That's what they call. Yeah, that's what they called him. But it was very sad to lose him after a very long and storied career in show business. It was really great that he was so active all the way up to the end of his life.
Huge,
doing cons, doing.
We only met him 2 years ago,
maybe 3. Yeah, but just a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many. Have we ever told the story? We've told the story on the podcast.
I feel like we probably have, but if there's a time to retell it, now is the time.
Well, listen back for Uncle Tim's fireside chat about Adam West.
Wow, the cardigan just came out of nowhere, and you
It's
suddenly
so
have a
warm
pipe.
Too. It's so
weird.
warm.
It's like 90 degrees. What are you doing?
I know, but it's all for effect. Probably shouldn't have lit that fire either. We're inside, Frank.
I don't have a fireplace.
Hey! So we went to it was Rhode Island Comic Con, I do believe, that we were at the Rick.
Yes, that's right.
The Rick.
Yes.
And Adam West was. It was the same day we met Billy D. Williams, wasn't it?
It was. It was the same day.
That was the same. That was
same con.
It was a great day.
Epic day.
It was a great day. So anyway, we're both standing in line for what is a reasonable amount of time. Nothing terrible.
No. Even though we bought the passes to skip the line, like the VIP passes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got there and they're like, yeah, they're not honoring the passes. We're going to refund you and you're going to have to wait in line like everybody else and pay again.
Whoa, yeah, I forgot about that. It was so frustrating. I forgot about
Clearly,
that.
I've let it go.
Yeah, clearly. Ooh. Anyway, don't diminish this touching tale. Anyway.
But it was worth waiting in line.
It was worth waiting in line. I remember being the next up and that guy in front talking to Adam West was just forever talking his ear off. And clearly Adam West was uninterested in everything that guy was saying. And we made eye contact.
Yes.
And I kind of lifted my eyebrow and shrugged. And he kind of very, very imperceptibly rolled his eyes and lifted his eyebrow too. Yeah. Because that guy didn't want to hurt that guy's feelings. But we had a moment.
You did. You totally did.
We had an absolute moment. And it was great. What a nice man. He was lovely to chat to, and
he really was.
Burt Ward
Burt
Ward was there too. Also lovely to chat to. The other side of the story is that we talked to Burt Ward for 10 minutes about his dog food. As the line was building.
That's right.
Because that's the version of the story we usually tell. But we're focusing on Adam West.
Yeah.
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 What do you remember the first time you watched Batman 66?
Yeah, it was the movie.
Yeah, it was
the movie. I may have told this story as well, but it was probably a long time ago. I first saw the movie. I lived very close to our public library growing up. It was literally around the corner. And I would go there a lot to rent or borrow VHS tapes from the library.
Yep.
You were allowed up to 4 at a time.
Wow, that's huge.
For 4 days or 3 or 4 days, something like that.
A movie a day.
Yeah, pretty much. So so my family and I would go there kind of a lot. And there was a kids section and a grown-up section. And I think Batman was in the kids section.
I'm sure.
And it was, my dad saw it on the shelf and was like, "Oh, Batman, you should, you'll like this. We should take this home," because he remembered it from when he was a kid. And so we took it home, and I just loved it. I loved it so much. This is back in those days. My family was the type of family that we had. My dad was. We had 2 VCRs, and so we'd plug them into one another and make copies of the tapes sometimes. If we really liked them, so we wouldn't have to borrow them every time. Because when you were a kid, you want to watch the same movie 10 times,
right?
Like every single day, time after time. So rather than going back and forth to time. Rather than go back and forth to the library, my dad was like, "I'll just make a copy of it for you, then you can watch it as much as you want."
Making copies.
So that's what we did with this movie. Is I made a copy of it, and so I just watched it to death. I watched it over and over and over again for a long time. So that was my first exposure, and I didn't see episodes of the show until much more recently, like 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it wasn't on any of the.
It wasn't syndicated.
I didn't have cable.
Right.
So I didn't have like MeTV or any of those like oldies stations. And it wasn't on any of the channels in my local market, so I just didn't have access to it, And I guess I could have looked up on YouTube or something, but never did.
It was also the movie that I watched first. I feel like most people our age, it was the movies they watched first.
Probably.
Most people didn't watch the show
first.
Though I did watch. I also watched the show. Not a lot. It wasn't on either, but like every so often we catch it. I have a distinct memory of watching one of the Mr. Freeze episodes.
Okay.
Where like he has this little control box, and every time he needs to go into another room, he can like turn the box on, and the sub-zero temperature goes into the next room. So dumb with his dumb eyebrows.
Man.
But it was definitely the movie, and I talked about this too. Ours was taped off of TV. It didn't have commercials for whatever reason. But it cut. Did it have commercials? Maybe we cut them out.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the ending.
Yes.
So only recently did I really kind of watch that ending, and it's a non-ending too. Quietly, Robin, out the window so we don't get noticed. Like, what are you doing? Why is that the end of the movie? It was like they gave up in the writer's room. Like, oh, he goes out the window. Let's just make the stupid movie now.
Well, I guess that's it. We've done what we can. We climbs out window.
Yep.
And like, why'd they climb out the window?
Subtly, Robin, out the window. Yes, the most subtle of all exits.
Absolutely.
Out the window.
Yes, that's how you do it. Oh man, what so much fun. So that was the movie was also your first exposure.
Sure. Well, truth be told, I'm actually not sure what my first exposure was.
Oh,
it could have been the movie, which I think it was, or we very briefly he did The Adventures of Batman, where he voiced the character. In animation, yes. And it was on at the same time as Super Friends, but it wasn't a Hanna-Barbera. I don't think it was a Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
So it wasn't on very long because it just couldn't. Two different Batmans couldn't compete, I guess.
Yeah.
But we used to rent a VHS at Blockbuster.
Okay.
Of The Adventures of Batman and The Adventures of Superman. And that was my first exposure to animated Batman, I guess.
Yeah.
It was the Penguin. The Penguin was one. The Riddler was one. Catwoman and the Joker. I think they all had their own episodes. And then the Superman one. The only one I really remember is Brainiac.
Okay.
And I think Lex Luthor. But they basically looked like the Super Friends. It was almost the same. It was almost the same style, but not quite. But that actually might have been my first foray into Adam West. It wasn't. And then the show, but I didn't know it was the same person.
I see.
As a kid. Only recently not recently, but as an adult did it like come together and go, oh, he voiced it out. Oh, that's really cool. That's very fun. That's very fun. So he meant so much to so many people. You saw there's so much of a you were my Batman, you are my Batman online in respect to him.
Absolutely. And for so many people he was and always will be. He was, when you think about, he was the first, he wasn't the first.
He was not the first
live action Batman,
no.
But he was the one that made the biggest impression on the culture. There was there were the movie serials that were earlier, and I don't even know the name of the actor who.
There were two of them.
Oh, there was more than one. Okay, and more two different actors.
I believe so.
Okay,
yeah.
But they're not even culturally relevant anymore. Sad to say, like they're not well known.
I used to know the names, and I can't remember them anymore.
But like you're a diehard Batman fan,
yeah,
right? And the fact that you don't know them really doesn't say anything about your fandom.
No, it's true. That says a lot about the importance of those serials on the culture,
right?
To which there really are.
Right. Whereas the Superman serials, Kirk Allen is a little more well known.
Except that I think the Batcave is actually an invention of the serial.
Of the serials? Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I think so.
I did not know that.
It's just a cave with an oak desk in it.
Okay,
it's like,
fine.
So yeah,
but the concept.
I think
that's cool.
I think the cave is a serial invention. I'd have to look that up. Yeah, I have to look it up. It's too hot. My brain isn't working.
Yeah, it's getting hot. But yes, but your point is valid that it wasn't the first, but it was the most relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think back, it's like George Reeves was like the first like TV Superman. And then you have Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, and Adam West is the third in that trio of even though they were different decades, all three of them.
Yep.
They are sort of the three old school oldies like TV
Not
versions
three
of those
different
heroes.
decades. Wonder Woman was the 70s.
Yeah, and Batman was the 60s.
And Superman was
50s.
50s.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I had Chris Reeve in my head, and I was like, it's the same.
The same one. Yeah.
All different decades. crazy.
50, 60, 70.
Did you happen to read? You know, there's a Batman 66 comic and whatever else, and so
Yeah, I was reading it when it first
the early
came
days.
out, and for a year or two, but I kind of fell off after they started doing like the Green Hornet crossovers. And all that
Sure,
stuff.
I fell off pretty much around the Green Hornet crossover. Actually, although I read the Hornet crossover,
I think I did too. Kevin Smith wrote that, right?
Yeah.
I think I finished that, and then I kind of fell
I
off.
did read the Wonder Woman crossover since you mentioned her. It's great.
Is it good?
It's great. It's Wonder Woman and Batman versus the League of Shadows.
That's really fun.
So it's
Batman 66 and Wonder Woman 77.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the
That's
way
really fun.
it kind of the way the story sets itself up is like it's kind of in two parts, and one is Bruce as a kid and the Nazis invade Wayne Manor during this party looking for a book, and the League of Shadows, and Ra's al Ghul's there, and like Talia's there as a kid, and so like they have this whole little romp together with
cool.
and Wonder Woman is like this kind of inspiration to young Bruce Wayne.
Nice.
And then it picks up with him as an adult, and it's actually in the 70s.
Yeah.
That it picks up in the 70s.
That makes the most sense.
So, but get this, so Batman's older.
Okay.
Robin is now Nightwing.
Oh.
So Burt Ward is now Nightwing.
Oh, that's so cool that you get to see that.
Yeah. And then so they go to Paradise Island and they fight. I think it's the League of Shadows.
Okay, I'm adding
in that one. It could be they could have said Assassins, but I'm pretty sure it's Shadows.
Issue number 1 of that book is 99 cents on comiXology, so I'm putting that in the show notes.
Cool.
If anyone wants to check it out, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're all 99 cents because they're digital first.
Digital first.
Yeah, I think there's 11 of them altogether.
That's great.
Yeah, it's real good fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And they do this like Catwoman team, like there's this Catwoman team up. So Catwoman goes to Paradise Island, and because it's not, I don't think they call it Themyscira because that wasn't a thing until the 80s.
Yeah,
and so till George Perez. So, yeah, it was good fun. And I didn't really watch Wonder Woman.
I didn't either. It doesn't matter. Like it's still the spirit of it.
It is.
the same.
I know he's teaming up with the Legion of Superheroes next.
So does the Batman 66 book exist on its own anymore, or is it all just in crossovers? Like, is there just the Batman 66 title anymore?
Yeah, that one's just that one because there's
Okay.
it's I don't think Wonder Woman exists anymore, but Batman still does.
Okay,
so that one's still plugging away.
that's really fun. That is really, really fun. I like the books very much. They're very fun, but they read very much like the episodes of the show.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like it has its place, and I'm not always in the mood for that.
I'm not always in the mood. Yeah,
sometimes I'm in the mood for present day Detective Comics or whatever.
Right,
so,
exactly. Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to watch Return of the Caped Crusaders?
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
I bought it. I have it. I just never have sat down to watch it.
It's so good.
I know. It's never. I never remember like when I'm sitting down to watch something. For whatever reason, it doesn't come to my mind. I really do desperately want to.
Do you know
watch
the concept behind like what the story is or anything like that?
Is it that they've been like out of?
No, not really. No, they've been So they've been doing their thing, if I recall correctly. But basically they take the villains team up as they do, and they take away Batman's inhibitions. So he basically becomes like the modern version of Batman, but it's Adam West.
Adam West.
So you're hearing him say things like, "You want to get nuts?
Oh, right.
Let's get nuts."
I did know about that. I know about that one. Yeah,
yeah.
'Cause that's like my favorite line from Batman '89.
Right, exactly. And I think there's a couple of Dark Knight Returns references to like stuff that he does because they take away all of his. I mean, but it's still like Batman 66.
Yeah,
right. It was great. It's one of the best. It's one of the best episodes of of anything that they did because it's a love letter, but it's not. It doesn't feel ham-fisted.
Yes,
they sound old sometimes because
sure. I mean,
he was in his 80s.
50 years older than they were when
sure. But sometimes it is pretty remarkable how youthful they actually do sound. There's supposed to be a sequel. I was actually really thinking about this. They might have already recorded it.
I was going to say maybe they did.
I haven't heard anything, but you remember this? There was a sequel. Shatner's playing Two-Face.
Oh,
yeah. I think it's already been recorded, so that might actually be his last work.
That would be fantastic.
Would actually be very poetic.
Very fitting.
That would be very nice that his last work would be something from Batman.
It's so great though that like he had a career. He embraced the Batman fandom.
Yeah.
Right. The day we saw him, not only did we see him, we met him in line because you got his autograph, but we also went to the panel.
Yep.
Went to his Q&A panel with him and Burt Ward.
Yep.
But outside of the Batman fandom, he was on Family Guy and Mayor Adam West.
So funny.
So
actually,
great.
my intro was from Mayor Adam West. So this comic class that I teach, right?
Yeah.
So I have a whole section on the importance of pop art and and thus Batman 66 and what that does for the comic industry and everything like that. So even if you hate the show and you don't like that version of Batman, like you have to understand like how important it actually
important.
is.
It was culturally very important.
Yeah. For the States, never like just for the United States. Not even just for comic culture.
Right.
But so there's a little section on him, but so to introduce Adam West, there's a clip from Family Guy where he's at a restaurant and he's getting a menu, and then he's like, "I've got to hide" or something, and he just goes, "Adam West, Adam West, Adam West, Adam West," and he slowly creeps under the table, and then he pops back up again. You just see his eyes, Adam West. It's so good. I'll show you afterwards. We could we'll link it in the show notes.
Is that the tune of Frank Sinatra's "Young at Heart"? It sounds like, and if I should survive to 105.
It might be, actually. It might be. He was young at heart. He had a great time doing that show, apparently.
He did. Yeah, it sounds like it. And then he was in Futurama as one of the jars in heads in a jar.
Mm-hmm.
That's super funny.
Yeah, he was on The Simpsons, and the man was typecast for a long time.
He was.
And he was ridiculed for a long time afterwards because people didn't get it.
They didn't get it.
People got it in the 60s.
Right.
And then, that's it. You found it. Yeah.
Putting this in the show notes.
Great.
Which you can find at beerwithgeeks.com/161.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was typecast for a long time. But he still was somehow able to remain optimistic about the whole thing.
Yeah, I wonder if, you know what? There's also, there's going to be a lot of show notes this time. I hope you guys want like lots of other things to follow out on and enjoy. He was not that long ago on an episode. I don't know if I sent you a link to this when it happened. An episode of a podcast called Reply All.
I think you did.
Did I?
But I can't remember.
They had him on. Yeah, here we are. They had him on, and they actually interviewed him because of a tweet that he had put out. I don't remember all of the context, to be perfectly honest. I'd have to go back and listen to it again. But I remember enjoying it very, very much. So yeah, I have to, this is not great podcasting, but I'm going to put a link to it, to this link, which is great podcasting. This is very much worth the listen. It's a relatively short episode too, so won't take up that much of your time, but check it out on Reply All. But they did interview him, and they asked him at one point, did you ever get tired of, being Batman? And he said, like, no, I really didn't. Like, I always just like, I embraced it. Like, there were times where it wasn't necessarily fun that like that was what people thought of me as, saw me as, but I still loved it and embraced it, and like it's what my life, my career was made of. So like, I can't be mad about it. It's hard to be mad about being that adored,
Yeah.
And he really is universally adored.
Oh yeah.
He's like, the internet's grandpa. Like,
it swung back. I think it swung back around.
Yes.
And the people who say like, "Oh, I don't like that show," you don't like. It was built. Whenever I say, people are like, "Oh, it was stupid and campy," I'm like, "Yeah, that was the point."
Yes, exactly.
Like it was. When I say it was billed as a comedy in TV Guide,
No,
people go, "Oh, so I'm supposed to laugh at it?" Like, yeah.
It was supposed to work on a couple of levels. It was supposed to work on the level of, for kids, it was absolute life and death. Come back tomorrow for the other half of the cliffhanger.
Yep.
But for adults, it was a comedy. It was a satire of Silver Age comics in the height of the Silver Age.
Right.
So It was
Well, that's the story is that Bill Dozier, the producer, saw a Batman comic that was doing this pop art thing. I think it was a Riddler comic, like The Return of the Riddler. It's a pink cover, and he's spinning around like a little tornado, and Batman and Robin are on either side. I'm going, oh. And he saw this and was like, we need to do that. We need to make a show out of this. This is something.
And what he made was 3 seasons. Of
the first season did really well. So the movie was supposed to come out before the show.
That's right.
But it got held up. So it was an in-between thing. So it was season 1 movie, season 2, season 3. They introduced Batgirl because the ratings were dipping. Because as much as great as the show is, it's a one-trick pony.
It is. I mean, it's very formulaic.
Yep.
But it does it very well. Mm-hmm. But kind of like I was saying before, you're maybe not in the mood for that formula all the time.
Right.
So, maybe you don't want to. So it had its run.
Yeah. But I mean, Frank Gorshin won an Oscar.
Yeah.
He won an Emmy for The Riddler. I mean, you can't discount the work people put into it.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean,
it's great.
Did you ever see Return to the Batcave with the TV movie?
No, I never did. I know of it. I know about it. I know what it's.
I remember watching it on air.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I can't remember exactly when it came out. I was probably like a teen, something like that. But I remember being shocked at some of the stuff behind the scenes. Like, I just wasn't ready to hear some of it. Like, Adam West was kind of a womanizer.
Oh, yeah.
And the show.
Well, I mean, look at him and Kitka.
Right. Oh, yeah, Miss Kitka. Natasha Romanoff, Sergeyev Kitka, whatever her name is.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Natasha Romanoff.
Romanoff's in there.
But really? Her name's Natasha Romanoff?
Might be
something?
Natalia.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't remember.
Natalia
I certainly don't remember.
I don't remember.
I'm not here to criticize if I don't remember it.
Don't remember. But I remember, like, they used to make Burt Ward, like, do his crazy, weird stunts. And they'd be like, okay, Adam, you sit down. and Burt would be like, am I allowed to? Yeah, you're fine, kid. Yeah. Stuff like, so like that, like the scene where like the Batmobile like peels out of the Batcave.
Yeah.
That's a stunt driver, but Burt Ward is in the seat because they were like, oh, but you'll be closer to camera so people will be able to tell if it's not you. So
there's like dangerous stunts.
He's in the car. Yeah, he broke stuff and like.
Oh yeah, he got injured a few times.
He got injured quite a few times, and there was just Adam West being a thing. I really would love like an actual biography on him.
Yeah, I wonder if there are any out there that are any good.
I was at a bookstore today and there was not any on the shelf.
Okay,
but that does not mean they don't exist.
Right.
I mean, I'd be really surprised if he didn't have a memoir.
Me too. If you know of one, email us at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com or tweet us at beerwithgeeks to let us know.
Actually, I'll use my one lookup.
All right, there you go. That's a worthwhile one. While you're doing that, I want to read something. My friend Derek, friend of the show, Derek Russell, posted an Instagram that I thought was very poignant. He's got the image of Batman in the board shorts surfing.
I have a pop of that.
Do you?
I have
That's
a pop
awesome.
of that. He comes with a surfboard, and I have the Joker.
That's amazing. But Derek's caption to go with that goes as follows. At San Diego Comic-Con one year, a man disguised in aviator glasses and a baseball cap approached me. Do you know which way the bathroom is? He said. I smiled, knowing his voice. You're Adam West, I said.
I know the story. I know the story. Wait, whose story is this?
Derek Russell.
Oh, that's I just read it and I couldn't.
There
I was
you go.
trying to think of it like 10 minutes ago and I couldn't, so I just decided not to say anything. I'm sorry. Continue.
You're Adam West, I said quietly. He placed his fingers to his lips to shush me. The Caped Crusader has to take a leak, he whispered. I laughed, leading him in the right direction. He patted me on the back. Thank you, citizen. Later, I passed him in the main hall, and he smiled, saluted, and said, Thanks, citizen, to me again. So long, old chum. That was a very, very nice little Instagram from Derek. That was a very nice little read. Brought a smile to my face on a sad occasion. Did you find if there were any good memoirs?
There's a book about the show, but he did write a memoir with somebody else.
Oh.
With Jeff Rovin called Back to the Batcave.
Okay.
The real story behind Batman from the star of the classic TV series.
Okay.
But you can't get it. It's out of print.
Oh, that's too bad.
You can order it on Amazon.
Oh, okay. I bet you can find it on eBay or something too. I bet there's used copies around.
Yeah, $45.
Oh, that's
$64.79. 81. Yeah, it's
Out of print books, that's pretty common. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, 94 came out.
Wow. Remember the time
Burt Ward wrote one too.
Ooh, oh, I bet that's good too.
My Life in Tights.
Oh yeah, actually, I did know about this. I remember that title.
Wow.
Huh.
That's fun.
Do you remember the time that you and I were on the Gotham podcast and we talked about the movie?
Yeah. Oh
that was a whole lot of fun, wasn't it?
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
It was, 2.5 years ago. I actually have a link to it. The Gotham podcast is sadly now defunct, but they still have an archive page up where you can listen to it.
Oh, nice.
So if anyone wants to hear that, that's also in the show notes. That was, I would say to this day, the most fun podcast I have ever recorded.
Really?
I laughed so much and had such a good time. And it's partly because, Bo is a whole lot of fun, and I missed my days of podcasting with Hunter and with Justin so much.
I did too, because I used to do Gotham
You used to do Gotham
with them.
podcast with them. That's right. You were a regular as part of the show with Hunter. So, yeah, I missed those guys so much that, after a 5-year absence maybe of not hanging out with them, not podcasting with them, it was nice to get to sit down together and talk about. You and I watched the movie and then immediately got on and podcasted with them.
Yes, that's right.
And we had such a blast. So
we did.
I would say if you take nothing else away from this, go and listen to that episode, that old episode of Gotham podcast. Like I said, it's in our show notes at beerwithgeeks.com. Because it was for me the most fun I've ever had podcasting. It was a blast. So I think we'll end it there. But so long, old chum. Thank you to Adam West for all the years of fun and for being a good sport and always being a true bright knight.
Yeah. Well, you can rate and review us on iTunes and all other places that podcasts can be found, such as Satchel and Overcast, in the Google Play Store. Rating and reviewing is extremely helpful to us. They're getting the podcast out there. We've done a pretty good job so far, but we can do better.
Absolutely.
And so, in the review, if you don't know what to write, you can say Frank is as punny as Adam West. Yes, you are. Frank is as punny as Adam West.
I think that is a huge compliment. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So,
unwarranted.
So, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Gmail at Beer With Geeks. Feel free to write in, tweet, and all lovely things. We'll be back next week with more geek and beer related fun.
That's right.
Okay. So until next time, cheers.